Have you ever stood in front of someone and thought, why do I feel like I'm already losing this argument? You're calm, you're making your point, and yet there's this quiet, stone-faced energy across from you that makes you question every word. Odds are you were talking to a Capricorn. Capricorns don't need to raise their voice. They don't need to flex. Their presence alone speaks volumes. It's not arrogance, it's certainty. A Capricorn knows who they are. And when you challenge that, it's not going to end the way you think. See, Capricorns aren't impulsive. They don't lash out. They don't crumble under pressure. Instead, they do something that most people can't. They pause, they observe, they absorb, and then they act quietly, strategically, ruthlessly. That's what makes them dangerous in the most fascinating way. This isn't about fear, it's about understanding. If you've ever clashed with a Capricorn, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, well, consider this your warning and your education. Today on Secret of the Zodiac, we're diving into 12 solid reasons why you should absolutely, under no circumstances, challenge a Capricorn unless you're ready to deal with the consequences. From their unmatched mental strength to the way they turn setbacks into stepping stones, you're about to see what really lies beneath that calm exterior. And hey, if you're into zodiac deep dives, power signs, and the raw truth about astrology, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and comment below if you're a Capricorn or have ever tried going against one. Trust me, we want to hear your story. Now let's kick it off with the first 2 reasons why challenging a Capricorn is a move you'll regret. Number 1, they don't break, they endure. This endurance isn't just toughness, it's trained, it's earned. Capricorns often grow up in environments where being emotional wasn't always safe or useful. So instead of reacting to pressure, they learned how to withstand it. It's not that they don't feel, it's that they know feelings don't fix the situation. Action does, discipline does, solutions do. If you've ever tried to wear them down with stress, guilt, drama, or passive aggression, you probably noticed something unsettling. It doesn't work. They don't fold. They don't flare up. They just stand there, weathering it like a mountain in a storm. This isn't emotional numbness. It's focus. A Capricorn can walk through fire and come out carrying a spreadsheet of what it taught them. You can't intimidate someone who's already conquered things you'll never see. They've outlasted more than you'll ever throw at them. And when you mistake that calm for weakness, that's your first mistake. They're not quiet because they're afraid. They're quiet because they've already calculated the odds, and they know they're winning. Number 2, cold logic is their weapon. Let's go deeper. Think of a conflict you've had with someone where it felt like nothing you said shook them. You tried to guilt them, provoke them, bait them into saying something reckless, but they just sat there, stone-faced, maybe even smirking. That's the energy of a Capricorn using their primary weapon, logic. Capricorns don't fight with emotion, they fight with evidence. You come to them with feelings, they come back with facts. You throw heat, they throw structure. And it's infuriating if you're not ready for it. They don't argue to be right, they argue to be correct, to be clear, to get to the root. They listen carefully, not to attack, but to identify where your argument breaks. Then they'll quietly, almost politely, dismantle it, one point at a time. No yelling, no insults, just a quiet, merciless dissection of your logic. And the worst part? You can't even be mad at them, because they're not doing it out of spite. They're just right. Their intelligence isn't just raw knowledge, it's application. They use what they know strategically, like a general in a war room, like an architect tearing down a shaky foundation and rebuilding it, but this time correctly. This isn't manipulation, it's clarity, and it's terrifying when turned against you. You might think you're arguing with a person, but in truth, you're arguing with years of pattern recognition, quiet observation, and learned discipline. Capricorns don't speak unless it matters, and when they do, they make sure every word lands like a hammer. Even in relationships, romantic, platonic, or professional, this logical nature shows up. It's not that they're cold-hearted, it's that their mind doesn't let their heart take the wheel unless it's earned. They love, yes, deeply, but foolishly, never. So if you step into conflict expecting chaos, get ready to be stunned by stillness. And if you're planning to throw a messy tantrum, get ready to feel exposed under a Capricorn's unblinking analysis. Because while you're focused on winning the moment, they're focused on mastering the outcome. They treat conflict like a formula, not a fire. And if your numbers don't add up, they'll correct the equation without flinching. Now picture both traits combined, relentless endurance and ruthless logic. Capricorns don't burn out, they outlast. They don't escalate, they execute. And that combination makes them one of the most formidable signs to ever challenge. But here's where things get even more intense. Capricorns are also long memory creatures. They don't just endure in the moment. They remember the moment. Every slight, every disrespect, every offhand comment. They keep it filed away, not for revenge, but for clarity. They see who you are when things get rough and they don't forget. Which brings us to something most people never realize until it's too late. Capricorns don't just survive challenges, they use them as fuel. In the next part, we're going to explore 2 more brutal reasons why challenging a Capricorn might be the worst move you ever make. Number 3, they hold grudges with a planner. This isn't your average petty grudge. Capricorns don't throw fits. They don't launch into revenge mode the minute you offend them. That would be too obvious, too emotional. Instead, they go quiet. They retreat, but don't mistake that silence for surrender. Capricorns are collectors of offense. They catalog every slight, every dismissal, every time you doubted them. But here's the twist. They don't act on it right away. They let it simmer. Why? Because they know timing is everything. And when they do respond, it won't be with drama. It'll be with distance, with exclusion, or with a cold, calculated move that removes you from their world like you were never even there. This isn't bitterness. It's a boundary. Capricorns don't have time for cycles. You cross them once and they may forgive, but they won't forget. The grudge isn't about revenge. It's about precision, knowing who can be trusted and who can't. Have you ever been iced out by someone and you didn't even realize what you did until months later? That's a Capricorn. They give you space to figure it out, but they never reopen the door once it's closed. And this leads perfectly into their next terrifying superpower. Number 4, success is their vengeance. You might hurt a Capricorn. You might even slow them down, but you will never break them, and they will never stay down. They are the definition of rise and grind. And the most powerful revenge they'll ever take, living a life so impressive, so elevated, that your name becomes irrelevant in the story. While you're watching, waiting, wondering if they'll strike back, they're leveling up silently, consistently, strategically. That job promotion, that business launch, that glow up you didn't see coming, that's a Capricorn getting even without saying a single word. They don't need to post about it. They don't need to prove anything to you. Their power move is progress. Their flex is building something so stable and undeniable that it renders your past insult meaningless. What makes this especially hard to handle is how quietly they do it. There's no announcement, no "look at me now" speech. Just quiet growth, brick by brick, until one day you look up and realize you're staring at a castle, and you're not even invited inside. They've already rewritten the story. You're just a footnote in a chapter they don't reread. And the kicker, they don't do this because of you. They do it in spite of you. They take the energy you gave them, the challenge, the rejection, the failure, and alchemize it into drive, into results, into respect. And when they walk into the room, they don't even need to say a word. Their life speaks for them. It's not about being petty. It's about being powerful. The best revenge is success, and no one embodies that truth like a Capricorn. Let's imagine a breakup, not the loud, messy kind with screaming and blocked numbers, the quiet kind, the kind where one person simply detaches, upgrades, and glows in silence. That's a Capricorn. You won't get fireworks. You'll get forgotten. And nothing stings more than realizing someone succeeded in life while you were busy doubting them. Capricorns internalize everything, not in a repressed, destructive way, but in a focused, transformative way. Every setback becomes material. Every insult becomes a tool. They use your doubt as scaffolding for their next chapter. And that's the brilliance of number 4. Success is their vengeance. They're not obsessed with revenge. They're obsessed with growth. And that growth often takes the shape of proof, not to you, but to themselves. Because when you challenge a Capricorn, what you're really doing is giving them another reason to build. You can knock them down, they'll build back. Better, smarter, colder, not out of spite, but because that's just what they do. And here's something else to understand. Capricorns are ruled by Saturn, the planet of time, discipline, and karma. That means they play the long game. While others chase quick wins and instant gratification, Capricorns are planting seeds that will take years to bloom. But when they do, it's unstoppable. So while you're out there trying to win the moment, they're working in the shadows, preparing to own the whole era. And what's truly haunting is how unbothered they seem. Even if they were deeply affected by your actions, they won't let you see it. That's not how they operate. A Capricorn's healing doesn't look like tears and chaos. It looks like routines, boundaries, upgrades, silence. That job you thought they'd never get, they got it. That peace you thought they'd lost, they built it. That version of them you never believed in, it's real and it's thriving. Without you. So when you challenge a Capricorn and think you've won, what you've really done is trigger a transformation you won't be around to witness. And maybe that's the most brutal part of all. They don't need you to see their comeback. They don't even need you to know it happened. They just become more and keep walking. It's not performance, it's purpose. Let's put this into perspective with a quick story. Picture a Capricorn woman working a mid-level job in a company where she's constantly overlooked, talked over and underestimated. Her ideas are dismissed. Her boundaries are tested. She stays quiet for now. She takes notes. She sharpens her skills. She builds a network on the side. Then one day she hands in her resignation. No drama, no anger, just a signature and a thank you. Within months, she's running her own business, landing the clients that used to laugh at her. They watch from afar, unsure how she did it so fast. She didn't do it fast, she did it silently. Because when you challenge a Capricorn, you don't just motivate them, you activate them. And once activated, there's no stopping them. They don't need to get even, they need to evolve. And that's exactly what they do. Now ask yourself, if someone remembers every lesson, holds every line crossed like a ledger, and turns every challenge into fuel, is that someone you really want to go up against? Probably not. But there's more. Because beneath the logic and endurance, beneath the plan or grudge and the silent glow-up, there's an even more chilling part of the Capricorn personality. They don't just survive and succeed, they observe. And that still cold observation, that ability to see what others miss and wait for the perfect moment to act, is what we're about to uncover next. Number 5, their silence is terrifying. You ever been in an argument with someone and they just won't argue back? Not because they don't care, but because they already know how this ends. That's a Capricorn. They're the type who, mid-conflict, will stop talking. Not in a childish I'm done way, but in a way that makes the room colder. Still, like the temperature actually shifted. And that silence, it says everything they don't need to. It says, I've already decided what to do next, and I don't need to explain it. Capricorns don't argue to win. They withdraw to prepare. And while the silence may feel like avoidance on the surface, what's actually happening is internal strategy. They're reading the situation, mapping it, planning their next step with the precision of a surgeon. In romantic relationships, this is especially unnerving. While other signs may yell, demand closure, or beg to be understood, a Capricorn partner will go quiet. You might think they're fine, but in reality, they've already started detaching, silently building a way out, a way up, a way forward, without you. And by the time you realize they were serious, they've already gone. Now add this to their work ethic. Number 6, they'll outwork you every time. There's a quiet rage in the way Capricorns commit to their goals. Not an explosive, passionate rage, a focused one. A fire that doesn't burn fast, but forever. Capricorns aren't distracted by applause. They're motivated by progress. If you challenge them in a project, a business, a dream, prepare to lose sleep, because they won't. They'll stay up, show up, and keep showing up long after everyone else has tapped out. They don't cut corners, they build systems. They don't chase motivation, they build momentum. They don't post rise and grind, they live it. You won't hear them complaining, you won't hear them announcing. You'll just notice they're always a few steps ahead, not because they got lucky, but because they never stopped moving. And here's where the danger comes in. If you're on their team, you benefit from this. You'll grow just by being near them. But if you're in their way, if you challenge them, thinking you can match their pace or beat them with flair, you will fall behind. Capricorns don't sprint, they climb. Steady, focused, patient, they scale the impossible, quietly and without looking back. Let's make this real. Picture two co-workers given the same project deadline. One spends time talking big, posting online, talking up the vision. The other, the Capricorn, quietly chipping away, organizing, problem solving. No theatrics, no validation seeking. Deadline comes. One's exhausted and unprepared. The other submits early, flawless. No surprise who wins. That's the Capricorn edge. Their effort isn't for attention. It's for excellence. It's for the end game. And when you try to challenge someone whose entire identity is built around persistence, control, and mastery, you're not just picking a fight. You're walking into a losing battle with someone who's already decided they'll win, even if it takes them 10 years. They aren't built for comfort. They're built for capacity, and that makes them dangerous to anyone who underestimates them. Let's go even deeper. Capricorns don't just outwork you with their bodies. They do it with their minds. While you're brainstorming, they're researching. While you're debating, they're executing. While you're hoping, they're planning. And while you're thinking, this is too hard, they're thinking, good, that means it's worth it. You'll see this in entrepreneurs, athletes, creatives, and leaders. The Capricorns aren't always the loudest. They're the ones still standing when everyone else has moved on to something easier. There's something relentless in them, like they have something to prove, not to you, but to themselves. A voice inside that says, keep going, keep pushing, don't stop until it's real. And that voice? It's louder than any compliment, any doubt, any obstacle. So when you challenge a Capricorn, it's not just about whether you're good, it's about whether you can endure, because that's where they thrive, in discomfort, in repetition, in grind mode. And they don't wait for motivation. They build it, one disciplined day at a time. But here's where the real twist comes in. They're not doing all this for revenge. They're doing it because it's who they are. Hardwired for progress, programmed for pursuit, and that's what most people miss. They think the Capricorn's strength is just seriousness or self-control. But no, it's in their consistency. It's in their ability to keep going without applause, to keep winning without recognition, to keep showing up even when no one's watching. Now think about this. Silence that disarms you, discipline that outlasts you. Combine those, and you have a Capricorn fully activated, unstoppable, unemotional, and undeterred. And we're still not done. Because behind all that focus and stillness is another layer, something colder, sharper, more surgical. The Capricorn eye doesn't just see the big picture, it zooms in on your weak points. In the next section, we'll explore 2 more reasons why crossing a Capricorn is a challenge you will never forget. Number 7, they know your weakness before you do. Capricorns are watchers, observers, emotional analysts disguised as practical people. They scan people the way architects scan blueprints, carefully, with intention. Every behavior you reveal, every inconsistency you show, every crack in your confidence, they notice. And while you think you're being clever, spontaneous, or bold, they're silently reading between the lines. What you laugh at when you're nervous, what you brag about when you're insecure, what you avoid when things get real, all of it gets logged in their mental filing system. This isn't manipulation, it's awareness. They're not gathering ammunition to use recklessly. They're studying the terrain. They're learning who you are, how you move, how you fall apart. And they store that knowledge not for games, but for protection. Because Capricorns don't trust easily. So when they start collecting data on you, it's because they're assessing, are you safe? Are you consistent? Are you strong where it matters? And when you cross them, when you challenge them, they don't come back with fire. They come back with a mirror. They'll hold up everything you've said, done, shown, and in one surgical sentence, they'll reflect your entire weakness back to you, not to shame you, just to make it clear, oh, they saw you. And when someone sees you that clearly, especially in a moment of conflict, it's hard to breathe, let alone fight back. Capricorns make people nervous not because they shout, but because they know where to aim. They can hit a nerve with frightening accuracy, not by lashing out, but by stating the simple truth no one else had the nerve to say. They won't call you out in public. They'll do it in a sentence you'll remember for years. And the worst part, they're not wrong. They just said what no one else would, and they said it without flinching. Now layer that insight with something just as sharp, their code of respect. Number 8, respect is non-negotiable. If there's one line you never want to cross with a Capricorn, it's respect. They can tolerate a lot: pressure, criticism, cold weather, hard work, long nights. But disrespect? Never. That's when the gate closes. That's when the walls go up, and they don't come back down. Capricorns don't explode when disrespected. They disengage. And when they disengage, it's like trying to talk to a fortress. Cold, silent, impenetrable. You may think they're being dramatic or too sensitive, but you're missing the point. For Capricorns, respect isn't about ego. It's about trust. It's about alignment. If you violate that, they don't want to fix it. They want to remove it. They won't warn you. They won't explain it. They'll just shift, and you'll feel it in how they stop replying with energy, in how they stop including you in their plans, in how they stop seeing you the way they used to. Disrespect doesn't get a second chance with them. It gets you quietly erased. And the reason it hits so hard is because when a Capricorn does respect you, you feel it. You feel it in their effort, their loyalty, their protection. They're not soft, but they show up, they support, they defend, and they don't do that for just anyone. So when that energy gets pulled back, it's like losing power. The light goes out, and you're left wondering when or if it'll ever come back on. But with a Capricorn, once it's off, it's off. They can still be polite, professional, civil, but you'll never feel that access again. The door closes, and they don't check the peephole. Why are they like this? Because they value their energy, they value their standards, and they expect others to do the same. When you disrespect a Capricorn, by talking down, by lying, by mocking their effort, you don't just offend them. You offend everything they believe in. And once they see that you're not aligned with that code, they leave, quietly, completely. Let's put this in context with a scenario. Imagine you're dating a Capricorn. Things are steady, they show up, they listen, they don't flood you with romance, but they're there, which is rarer and more valuable than people realize. Now imagine in a moment of stress, you say something cutting, maybe sarcastic, maybe disrespectful. You think it's just tension, but something shifts. They don't yell, they don't fight, they just look at you differently. And from that moment on, something inside them turns. They still text, still hang out, still ask about your day, but the warmth is gone. And one day, you wake up and they're gone too. Not in a dramatic storm out, just gone. Because the line was crossed, and in their world, that's final. That's the quiet brutality of a Capricorn. They don't need to argue to end things. They don't need to scream to make a point. They just decide. And when they do, it's done. So ask yourself, do you really want to challenge someone who has already seen your weak spot, remembers everything you've ever said, and draws an unbreakable line the second respect is violated? Probably not. And if you're thinking, that's intense, you're right. But we're still not at the core of it. Because what makes Capricorns truly chilling isn't just how they move through the world. It's how they play time itself like a weapon. In the next section, we'll explore 2 more reasons why Capricorns are not just powerful, but unstoppable in the long game. Number 9, they're built for the long game. Here's what most people don't realize. Capricorns are not sprinters. They don't chase immediate gratification. They aren't interested in flashy wins or attention-grabbing drama. They are planners, builders, strategic minds who don't mind starting slow if it means finishing strong. They understand something most people avoid. Success, real, lasting, grounded success, takes time. And they're not just okay with that. They thrive in it. Give a Capricorn a 5-year plan, and they'll make it 10. Not because they doubt themselves, but because they know the power of patience. While everyone else is burning out trying to go viral, trying to prove something fast, Capricorns are laying bricks. They know shortcuts collapse. They've seen it happen. They've watched people skip steps only to come undone the moment things get real. So they refuse to play that game. They take the stairs every single time, not because it's easier, but because it's real. And if you try to challenge them, you're not just facing a person, you're facing a timeline you can't comprehend. You want to compete? Cool. Are you willing to grind for 5 years without applause? Are you willing to stay disciplined when nobody's watching? Are you willing to delay validation for something more stable? Because that's where Capricorns live. They're not fast. They're forever. And you'll notice this in the way they move through life. Nothing about their success seems accidental. It's all intentional, measured, earned. They may not be the loudest in the room, but check back 5 years later, and they'll be the only ones left, quietly running the show. They're not addicted to attention. They're addicted to improvement. They don't show up to impress you. They show up to prove to themselves that they can keep showing up, rain or shine, pressure or ease. The long game isn't just a strategy to them. It's a lifestyle. It's how they make meaning out of chaos and how they outpace people who are louder, flashier, or luckier in the beginning. Capricorns don't care who's ahead at mile 1. They care who crosses the finish line. Clean, strong, and still focused. Now let's go even deeper. Number 10, they turn pain into power. Capricorns don't get through life untouched. In fact, many of them face hardship early, emotionally, financially, or socially. But what's different about them is how they process that pain. They don't collapse under it. They don't broadcast it. They use it. They make it part of their framework, their fire, their grit. Every Capricorn has a moment, maybe several, where they were underestimated, dismissed, betrayed, or pushed aside. And instead of becoming bitter, they became better. They internalized the lesson. They strengthened the muscle. They turned that sting into structure. You can see it in how they work, how they lead, how they trust. They don't just carry pain. They weaponize it, not against others, but in service of their goals. Pain becomes fuel. Heartbreak becomes vision. Rejection becomes clarity. They don't wear scars for sympathy. They wear them as armor. And when you challenge someone who has turned their lowest moments into their most powerful drivers, you are walking into a storm you don't understand. Because while you're trying to win in the short term, the Capricorn has already learned how to win over decades. Their pain taught them that time heals nothing. Work does, and they've been working on themselves for years. They'll take their disappointment, their loneliness, their grief, and build something unshakable with it, not as a performance, as a standard. And that's what's so intimidating. Their power doesn't come from ego. It comes from process, from living through hard things and coming out sharper, wiser, and more focused than before. You can't break someone who already built their strength from being broken. You can't beat someone who's already faced their darkness and learned to lead from it. This isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. Capricorn pain becomes Capricorn structure, and the more they've been through, the more unstoppable they become. Let's bring this into reality with a story. Imagine a Capricorn kid who grew up in a household where praise was rare and expectations were sky high. No one celebrated their small wins. No one offered comfort when things fell apart. But instead of shutting down, they studied, they worked. They built a version of success that was silent but undeniable. Fast forward 20 years, and that same person is running a business, mentoring others, and moving with quiet confidence. They're not flashy, but their presence commands respect. Why? Because they earned every inch of their growth through pain, and they never forgot how it shaped them. Now, go challenge that person. Try to shake them. Try to compete with someone who's built from struggle. You won't win, because their drive isn't just about ambition. It's about survival. It's about proving to themselves every single day that they didn't come this far for nothing. So when you see a Capricorn succeed, don't assume it came easy. Assume they've already fought battles you'll never see and built a system so solid that nothing you throw at them can touch it. That's the kind of strength that only pain can forge, and the kind of patience that only time can sustain. Put those together, and you've got a force no challenge can shake. But even that isn't the full picture, because in the next chapter, we're going to peel back the final layer, the one that shows you just how much control a Capricorn truly holds. Number 11, they control the chessboard. Most people play checkers, quick moves, reactive decisions, trying to stay one step ahead. Capricorns, they play chess. They see the whole board, the long game, the ripple effects. They aren't interested in flashy moves. They're calculating outcomes. They understand timing in a way that unnerves people. Not everything has to happen today. Not every win is a loud one. Sometimes the most powerful move is simply to wait, and that's what makes them terrifying. They're not in a rush. They know that patience isn't passive. It's power under control. A Capricorn will sit still in a room full of chaos, watch you make your moves, smile politely, and then weeks later, while everyone else has forgotten what even happened, they'll make one quiet move that resets the entire board. You won't even know it was retaliation. It won't look like revenge. It'll look like strategy, because that's what it is. Let's put this in context. You challenge a Capricorn at work. Maybe you throw them under the bus in a meeting or take credit for their effort. They don't react, they nod, they keep moving. Months pass. Then one day leadership changes. You're surprised when the Capricorn gets promoted. You're even more surprised when they're assigned to lead your team. And you're shocked when they don't even acknowledge you. Not out of spite, but because you've been removed from their equation completely. This isn't petty, it's positional. The Capricorn didn't play the drama. They played the board. They saw what was coming and positioned themselves accordingly. And now, you're a pawn in a game you didn't even know was happening. Capricorns aren't obsessed with power for power's sake. They want stability, control over their environment, the ability to shape their lives without chaos. And to do that, they study people. They understand alliances, timing, psychology. They know when to be silent, when to exit, when to circle back, when to strike. And the most disarming part, they look calm while doing it. They're not plotting with intensity. They're simply navigating, like a general with 10 plans and 20 contingencies. They don't get lost in emotion. They run simulations in their mind. And when they act, it's not impulsive, it's checkmate. So when you cross them thinking it's just a moment, remember, they're not playing for the moment. They're playing for legacy. And that brings us to their final, most underestimated quality. Number 12, they're ice-covered volcanoes. Capricorns are often misunderstood as cold, emotionless, robotic, but that's not true. Not even close. They feel deeply. But unlike water signs, they don't let their emotions flood. They let them freeze, compress, build pressure. They store everything. They store pain, doubt, disappointment, disrespect, not because they're repressed, but because they need control. They can't afford to lose focus. So they pack it down, put on the armor and keep going. But over time, that pressure builds. And while they may look like they're managing, attending meetings, maintaining relationships, fulfilling duties, inside, they're simmering, quietly, slowly, until one day it breaks. Capricorn eruptions aren't loud in the beginning. They're decisive, final, cold. You won't hear screaming. You'll hear silence. You'll see withdrawals. You'll watch a Capricorn vanish emotionally long before they leave physically. And when they do explode, when the emotion finally erupts, it doesn't look like a tantrum. It looks like ending a relationship, ending a friendship, ending a job, ending a cycle, cleanly, completely. Years of held-back frustration released in one strategic blow. It's not rage, it's resolve. And if you're the reason for that eruption, you won't get closure. You won't get an explanation. You'll just realize they're done, and they won't be back. You might try to apologize, to make amends. But a Capricorn who's reached eruption is a Capricorn who has decided this chapter is closed, and they don't reopen chapters. This isn't vindictive, it's protective. Capricorns understand the cost of staying where they are not respected, not valued, not safe. And when that pressure becomes too much to carry, they don't shatter, they transform. They walk away from what was, and they don't look back. Now think about that. A person who can plan 10 steps ahead while staying quiet, mask volcanic emotional energy under ice-cold focus, cut ties without noise, guilt, or delay, that's someone you don't challenge casually. And if you ever have, you remember it. You remember the moment they changed, not with drama, but with distance, not with cruelty, but with finality. Because when a Capricorn erupts, they don't just react, they rebuild. They don't try to fix the broken. They create something new, from scratch, stronger, smarter, colder. And here's the thing, they don't hate you after. They don't dwell. They just don't go back, ever. This is what people misunderstand most about Capricorns. They're not heartless. They're disciplined. They're not cold. They're contained. They're not distant. They're protecting something precious inside. Their fire, their core, their vision. And if you prove you don't know how to treat it with respect, they pull it back permanently. And if you see them again, it'll be from a distance, watching them thrive without you, quietly, fully, and completely free. So now that you've seen the Capricorn in full form, not just the builder, but the strategist, not just the thinker, but the volcano, there's only one thing left to do. Wrap it all together, because if you've ever wondered whether challenging a Capricorn was a mistake, the final message will leave no doubt. So here we are. After 12 hard-hitting, eye-opening reasons, one truth stands above all. Challenging a Capricorn is a dangerous game. Maybe you knew a few things already. Maybe you've felt their silence, their strength, their intensity. But now you've seen the full picture. Not just the traits, but the strategy, the psychology, and the power beneath the surface. We talked about how they don't break, they endure. Capricorns are built from grit, not luck. They carry weight others can't even lift, and they do it without needing validation. You learned that their weapon is cold logic. While everyone else gets emotional, they stay composed, focused, and deadly accurate. They don't raise their voice, they raise the bar. Then we exposed the long memory of a Capricorn, how they hold grudges with a planner. They won't lash out, they'll keep notes, and when the time is right, they'll close the door you never saw coming. We showed how success is their revenge. They don't come back to prove a point. They come back better, stronger, and completely unbothered, while you're still trying to figure out what just happened. You saw their terrifying silence, the way they outwork anyone in the room, and how they move with discipline while others look for shortcuts. They're not trying to win today. They're trying to build something that lasts forever. We walked through their ability to see your weakness before you do. Capricorns don't get loud. They get surgical. And when they're done, you're not sure if you lost an argument or your entire sense of control. And then we hit the emotional core. Respect is non-negotiable. Once you cross that invisible line, they won't argue. They won't scream. They'll just disconnect completely. And that absence will say more than any fight ever could. We showed how they're built for the long game. Time doesn't scare them. It strengthens them. They invest in the slow win, the real win, the one that lasts. And finally, we brought you to the heat behind the calm. They're ice-covered volcanoes. They don't explode often, but when they do, it changes everything. Cleanly, finally, without apology. So let me ask you this. Did you recognize someone in these words? Did you see yourself? Did something hit a little too close to home? If it did, that's not by accident. This video isn't just entertainment. It's a mirror. And if you're here at the end, you're not just curious. You're connected to this. Maybe you're a Capricorn. Maybe you love one. Maybe you lost one. Either way, you're part of this story now. So let's keep it alive. Take a second right now to subscribe to Secret of the Zodiac. This is what we do here. Deep, powerful truths about the signs that go way beyond stereotypes. No fluff, no filler, just raw energy, decoded. We're building something real here. And if you felt that, help us keep it going. Like this video so more people find it. Comment below. We want the comment section full of real stories. Tell us, what's the most Capricorn thing you've ever done or seen someone do? What hit hardest from the 12 reasons? Have you ever gone up against a Capricorn and survived? We want your stories. Let's fill the comments with truth. And finally, if you believe in this kind of content and you want to help us keep pushing it further, consider supporting the channel through Super Thanks. It's a small way to donate, and it makes a massive difference. We use those contributions to cover production costs, research, editing, and to bring you even more videos like this every single day. Every Super Thanks goes directly into this work, into these stories, into the hours it takes to build something this deep and this real. If this resonated with you, if it made you feel seen or understood or just more powerful, help us grow this. We're not just talking about astrology. We're showing you how each sign moves through the world. And Capricorn doesn't just survive, they dominate. And now you know why.